It's not that I don't have opinions on it. It's just that I'm not as zealous about it, I guess. You know how I feel. It's like I rate Metal Gears on how miserable I am when playing them. So yeah, I'm not like this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I do think it's flawed, and I figured we could talk about that today.
I mean, are we gonna do this? Are we gonna talk about Metal Gear Solid 4?
The elephant in the room, if you will.
Look, if you want me to talk about Metal Gear Solid 4, I can do it. But look, never mind. Never mind.
Oh,
I'm just
come on,
gonna
man.
stop myself. No, I'm gonna stop myself now before I go on a rant.
You want to talk about nano machines and
No, not really. I mean, it's just gonna start a fight.
it's not gonna start a fight. Hey, I'm Fingers.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can definitely have your opinion about it, but it's for me, I enjoyed it, so I'm in that side of it, and you've got your gripes with it, and so it's,
I've got my gripes with it.
but that's the thing. Like, that's not gonna make my enjoyment of it go away, and that's like that's the whole thing about opinions. You can just have it and just keep your own. So
Well, it's interesting. The thing is it's in a unique position where some people feel like by acknowledging it, in a positive manner or validating it, then you're invalidating other aspects of the series.
yeah,
And I've tried to look at it both from the perspective from a very internal perspective, like just the game itself, its execution, and how it fits, how it sort of affects the greater universe. And I guess I'll start with my thesis, but I won't get too into it. I figure we could talk about it over time. But my thesis is that Metal Gear Solid 4 reminds me a lot, actually, of the last season of Game of Thrones. And that's not to say that it's also well, okay, you gotta hit me here because I'm trying to be
you got me hooked.
I'm very nuanced here, but
Yeah.
there's a couple reasons of that, and I want to kind of get into them today. But first and foremost, I want to say that I'm not trying to suggest that they're of the same quality. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 overall is much better, despite its flaws, much better executed than Game of Thrones Season 8. However, I found that they both suffer this issue where they both have to wrap up a lot of plots and items in a very short time, a time that their creators, their directors really don't want to have. And it seems like they decided to compensate for some of that with like fan service, for example. So how Game of Thrones, it didn't really fulfill. Gosh, I'm probably not explaining this the best way. I've been thinking about this in the shower like every day. And now I'm here and I'm a little drunk and I'm like, oh, where am I going with
No, this is a conversation you want to be drunk for.
Okay. Well, okay. So let me back up. So as I was kind of taking this this overnight dissertation about this game, I hearkened back to Game of Thrones Season 8. Not in a sense that, it was a disappointing finale to the series. Not in a sense that it was even, like, low quality. Because I think that, again, 4 was far better executed than Game of Thrones Season 8. However, I noticed some similarities, like, contextually. They both had to serve this purpose where, one, they had to resolve several plots, several things that the writer, I guess, seemed like they didn't expect to have to wrap up or didn't anticipate to wrap up. And it gets into a situation where not only that they have to wrap up the plots, but on top of that, the creator, the director, And in Game of Thrones' case, it's D&D or whatever those guys' names are. And Metal Gear, it's Kojima, who doesn't want to be part of this project. Although I'd argue that his intentions are certainly more pure than D&D's, but I'm not going to ramble too much about that. The point is, they both tried to fulfill wrapping up these massive amount of plot points that they need to wrap up in a short amount of time. They're unable to do so, and in lieu of not being able to do so, it seems like there's a lot of fan service and mischaracterization that defines the flaws of those respective pieces of media. I hope I'm making sense, and I hope somebody doesn't come for my ass for trying to make this comparison.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. They're both coming from a place of there are gaps that we are ill-prepared or ill-motivated to fill that we are now forced to fill.
Right. I think, ill-motivated is a much better word because, I don't want to suggest that Kojima was as cynical or as, I know a lot of people say that the showrunners for Game of Thrones, they just wanted to go to Star Wars or something like that. Like, I don't want to suggest that he has just as bad of intentions or doesn't care as much. But I see the parallels, I guess.
I've had a week to prep for this and I'm still not ready.
I'm telling you.
I will start with this. And the people who know me.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Back to the comparison. Arya is Raiden. Okay, continue.
The people who know me, and I count both of you among them, know that when I go in on Metal Gear Solid 4, I'm kind of half serious. It is not a game I like very much, but a lot of that is exaggeration because it's funny to get into that in that way, It is a bit of a bit, I will admit. That's not to say I like it. I do not.
Would you say it's a meme?
A little bit.
A Metal Gear meme?
I think... I mean, I definitely have been sort of like a loud detractor of that game in the past, and then I sort of softened on it over time, and then that sort of became, like, Nitroid Hates MGS4 sort of became a meme, and then I just sort of leaned into it, but I'm gonna try to be honest, and you know what? No, I'm gonna get angry tonight. Here's what's... No, I'm gonna get mad about this.
Give the people what they want.
Right, yeah. I don't know what I can say about this game that has not been said by either Tim Rogers or Super Bunny Hop or Steak Bentley or even that Metal Gear Solid 4 in a nutshell video. I mean, like, this game has been extensively covered in both its pros and its cons.
But to be fair, nobody's watching, the Tim Scott frequency.
The what?
That was a joke. Sorry, they're watching you. They want to hear you. They want to hear you say it, even if it's redundant.
The other thing that I just want to say first is that when I am criticizing this game, it's not intended as disrespect for the people who put work into it, because I understand how insane of an amount of work went into making something like that game. It's incredibly complex. And there are a lot of people who worked on it that were very passionate about it and tried to make the best thing they could. The thing about art in any medium is that it's not always going to hit with everybody the same way, and it didn't hit with me. And there are things that I like about the game. There are aspects of the art direction, the user interface, and the mechanics that I really like. I think it has a lot of creative ideas, although they're not really explored to their fullest extent. And I realize that right now I'm kind of dancing around the entire topic of why I don't like it. So I'm trying to find the right approach angle because I don't want to just go in blunderbuss here. So let's actually, a point you brought up about how you compared it with Game of Thrones in terms of fan service and mischaracterization, right?
Right.
One way I would say that Metal Gear Solid 4 differs in that regard is that you could make an argument that the fan service and the mischaracterization was kind of the point.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a very self-aware game, but I think it's to a fault. And maybe that's the crux of why I don't like it. Because it's not imparting a lesson, it's not trying to leave you with any sort of important moral. It's just saying, hey, we're really tired of making Metal Gear. Please stop asking for this.
You know, now that you've said that, oh god, now I'm shifting my metaphor from Game of Thrones season 8 to Last Jedi. And it's like, oh god, now I'm gonna piss even more people off. Cause it's like I feel like Last Jedi does the same thing where it's like you said, like it's reliant on such a cynical meta narrative that diminishes the lessons of its previous titles. So, you know, naturally people who were a big fan of those previous titles are going to be upset that, you know, what they dedicated themselves to or what they really enjoyed was invalidated by the same canon that they got it from.
And cynicism is an interesting thing to consider in this context because Metal Gear Solid 4 both is and isn't cynical. I have no doubt that Kojima wanted to make a finale that would satisfy fans, but at the same time, there's this passive aggression in it that, you know, it's difficult to talk about this because a lot of this does come down to personal interpretation, personal feelings, what you got out of it when you play it. And a lot of people play Metal Gear Solid 4, and to them, it's just this globe-trotting adventure where everything they wanted to happen happens. But for me, as somebody who is laser focused in many ways on what Metal Gear Solid 2 tried to do, which is where Kojima wanted to stop telling his story and pass it off to other developers to continue it in a different direction, it's extremely antithetical to what he said then. You know, I've made the joke before that Metal Gear Solid 4 comes in and is like, hey, that's a nice MGS2 you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. But that's kind of what it is. I mean, it is the antithesis of Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 ends on the lesson that what happens isn't as important as what you take away from it. Right? You've got to figure out what of your experiences has value, extract that, and pass it on to the next generation. That's it. That's it in the nutshell, right? Figure out what's important, pass it on. That's if you need MGS2 summed up in a nutshell, there you